Good evening, YouTube. Welcome, welcome to my 13th live. Glad to be here with you on this amazing. Uh, Yesterday was Sunday, August 14th. The first day of walk came on, and today is Monday. Make sure I got rid of this echo. Today is technically Monday, August 15th. I'm grateful to be here. Want to tell you about two amazing books I just finished since my previous YouTube live, my 14th one. I highly recommend this biography of Desmond Tutu, written by um, a student he mentored, his former student, Michael Battle, who has done so much work in showing the world, telling the world who Desmond Tutu is. I'm honored to have the opportunity to meet Michael. In fact, later today, if not tomorrow. So I'll plan to update you about that encounter on my next YouTube live. I just finished also after I started it when I got it in February. I just finished Marlon James's fourth novel. What a doozy! Because I read Sanjata the Epic in grad school, and to read what he's done with the mother character, the mother of Sanjata, is absolutely amazing. So I'm going to share a few excerpts of what I thought were the most powerful parts of this novel, um, and as well as the biography of Desmond Tutu by Michael Battle. Desmond Tutu is an amazing figure. Check out my website, drronfraser.com, to read my review. I did finish a review of that biography. And if it blessed you, don't hesitate, just like this YouTube Live. If you got something out of my YouTube Live or got something out of my book review, don't hesitate to bless me with a Cash App donation. I absolutely appreciate it. If you're on this YouTube Live now, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell family, tell friends. This is frankincense I have burning right here. And I'm grateful. Frankincense just clears the air, cleans the air, gets me in my right spirits. So I'm grateful. I want to lift up somebody that meant so much today that I found out he passed on the 20th of July. I found out like 2 days ago. And I went to college with Calvin. Calvin, I could hear his voice constantly because we spent so much time in college at the summer camp. And then we were housemates. So he technically didn't live in the house, 31 Lake Place. I lived in New Haven for about 2 years because of Chris Simmons, who kind of united another Pisces, who united Calvin and me because of Chris's goal for Christian community. That was how he approached me in 2001. And I was said, no, I don't want to live with anybody. I would rather live by myself. But Chris was like, come on. And so I met Calvin through there. I saw him every day, and he passed suddenly. Um, Suddenly, it was like, wow. I think he was struck by a car and then got complications, unexpected complications, and then transitioned on July 20th. And this is a key time for me because I sacrificed a lot of my time, energy to just, I mean, money especially, to really pursue my dream of producing the play that I wrote. And Calvin was one of those few diehard supporters of me that donated to my Cash App for my play. He did that on April 16th, and that was our last conversation. Had no idea that I would find out on Facebook months later that he would transition. So my condolences to his wife, Ugochi, and his family. I found out that Calvin is related to the star of P Valley, who I saw on in a New York off Broadway production. J. Alphonse Nicholson is related to Calvin Nicholson, and J. Alphonse is an amazing actor. I mentioned him in my previous YouTube live and on my IG. Awesome actor. He starred in Howard Kraft's play Freight that I saw about 5 years ago at the Castillo Theater and Woody King's New Federal Theater. So wow, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize Calvin was related to J. Alphonse Nicholson. Amazing people, amazing souls. So many memories I have of Calvin with these conversations. Calvin was the first to tell me about a lot in terms of politics, Zionism. I remember him defining that very clearly for me. I remember him making jokes about what the F is Toni Morrison talking about in her novels. I don't know what she is talking about. You know, he knew how to lighten the energy and make you laugh. He knew how to make me laugh. So shout out to Calvin. Thank you for your support, Calvin. I appreciate it. And your energy, your high energy, your loving energy, laughing energy, I will never forget. You know, and I know when I feel it, it is actually you in the spirit realm. So I just wanted to shout out Calvin. Now that he's transitioned, you know, since July 20th. My condolences again to his wife and his family. I just finished today and put on my website Michael Battle's amazing biography of Desmond Tutu. There were two particular parts. Now, see, I grew up, you know, in '79 while he was still relevant and strong and very vocal. So I remember my sixth grade teacher, and I know that she knew who he was before she had this conversation with me. I couldn't have been more than 7 years old. And Mrs. Modica, my social science teacher at Holy Name of Jesus Catholic School in White Plains, New York, took me out into the hallway and said, "Do you know what apartheid is, wrong?" I said, "No, apartheid is what is going on in South Africa." And I just sat there and looked at her. And Bill Cosby's episode of A Different World called A World Alike also like affected me very deeply about the reality of what was going on in South Africa. Desmond Tutu, as you know, transitioned in last December 2021. And what an important light he was when you really read this biography. You know, I read every page, took notes on every page, not every page, but took notes on points that really stuck out that Michael Battle wrote. Thank you, Michael Battle, for your amazing work and research discussing, as you write in the preface and the introduction, Tutu's life from a spiritual point of view and from his theology, not from the theology of the Anglican Church and not from the theology of the Catholic Church, but from a theology um, of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a Bantu word, according to Bantu cosmology that Michael Battle describes. And so he looks at Desmond Tutu in that way. I wanted to see if I can, let me see, zoom in, or if I can't zoom in, what I'm going to do is just, okay, this is, wow. Yes, this is very helpful. This is on page 284, one of the key points in the biography by Michael Battle. He writes, Tutu helps us see how Western individualism can no longer shape how Christians engage the needs of the world. Because just war criteria, and he's talking about just war from a theorist whose name I don't remember now, but the idea that there is just war, he also adds that in certain cases, Tutu does believe in the strategic use of violence. You know, he definitely defended the people, Black people of South Africa, in a similar manner to Nelson Mandela before Mandela was imprisoned. Um, Just war criteria can no longer be met battle rights in light of weapons of mass destruction, because that was the pretext that the US used to start war with Iraq in 2003. He talked about Tutu not supporting that particular war. Battle rights, we must learn from liberation spirituality that there's a plurality of theologies jostling and competing with each other, but they can complement and challenge one another at the same time. The Imago Dei becomes the mystery that informs our spirituality. The divine life of God demands the concert of being, where you understand that it's not just you in this world, but you are in with other people. The danger of Western individualism is that it has little incentive to work for interdependent structures. And he's talking about the real church in this context, in the context of Western individualism, where everybody's out for themselves. It's not the concept that I've heard of the workers in Jamaica who use what they call partner draw, where everybody is relieved at some point in the cycle of they put $200 in a pot, everybody in 5 A group of 5 people put in $200, and then at the end of the month, everybody gets $200 at least once in that cycle. Partner draw. That kind of concept is anathema here, really. That's individualism, that Battle talks about. But that's part of the culture. That's absolutely part of the culture. Please, if you're watching this now, subscribe, like, and share. Subscribe, like, and share. I would absolutely appreciate it. Building my viewership now, about 40 subscribers right now. But I'm always privileged in my life quality over quantity. I'd rather have 40 dedicated, thoughtful, intentional subscribers than 40,000 bots who are not watching and are just simply bots. So please like, share, and subscribe and be an intentional supporter. If you're interested in supporting, my Cash App is $ my name, Ron Fraser. Another powerful part in this biography by Michael Battle is his section. This is from his second section called Illumination. He divides the biography into 3 sections. Purgation, talking about his formative influences. Trevor Huddleston is another one of an Anglican bishop that was a profound influence on Tutu. The second section is called Illumination, where he goes out into the world, and you see his biggest influence is through the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. That was really very powerful in reconciling for the crimes that apartheid system in South Africa caused. And then the third is unity or union, where discussing his latter years and how he wanted to retire, but also how he wanted to spread his influence. This particular section is from the second section called Illumination. Just wanted to focus on the last paragraph here. According to Simon Maimela's article in Hammering Swords into Plowshares, different people in South Africa have contradictory perceptions of Tutu's role against apartheid. My battle's objective is to assess the extent to which these exceptions are true reflections of Desmond Tutu and his spiritual impact on South Africa. One such perception is Simon Maimela's question: is Tutu a political priest or a man of peace? And that comes usually from the West, protesting how exactly clergymen defend the poorest. Battle writes, what seems to make Tutu so controversial and revolutionary in the eyes of many white South Africans, and yet complacent and compromising among many Blacks? The answer is in Tutu's resolve to work through the church to declare apartheid the most vicious and evil system since Nazism. In short, Tutu's strength is in making the political struggle a spiritual struggle. Thus, Tutu inspires the church in South Africa to dismantle apartheid so as to bring about a new South Africa, visions of which are seen in part 3. Tutu's spirituality is a commitment that has put him at the center of the political storm. He is viewed by the white, this is a powerful point which made his work so important and makes his story compelling. It's my hope that you go out and buy this book after seeing this part. He is viewed by the white establishment as having failed to neatly, he was accused of failing to neatly separate religion and politics so as to confine his ministry to the proper business of the church. And this is in light of people who he's looked up to being banned from the church. Byers Nowday, I believe, is the name of a priest who was banned from the Anglican Church because of his strong stance against apartheid. He was definitely a role model for Tutu, namely the spiritual sphere, and Tutu is viewed by Black South African scholars as, I'm getting this so I can see it. He's viewed by South African scholars as such as Irumeleng Mosala, and he's like a diplomat straddling, dealing with two opposing sides, the apartheid government and then the revolutionaries who are demanding the end of the brutality, the end of the jailing, the end of the torturing of Black citizens. Itumeleng Mosala, a South African revolutionary, he was accusing Tutu himself as betraying the struggle of the oppressed with too close a tie with European theology. Tutu's competitive identities of spiritual and political are Tutu's greatest controversy. It's the most important in terms of the work that he's laid out. Most important. There's so many other gems in this biography, particularly Zuma's disagreement. And as I wrote in my review, his career, his life, not career, I want to say that his work from European colonialism in South Africa, dealing with the Afrikaner leadership, white Afrikaner leadership, going to the Black leadership, the neo-colonial leadership. In both cases, Tutu defended the poor, and his life must be studied. So check out this awesome biography by Michael Battle. Thank you, Michael Battle, for writing this awesome biography. Desmond Tutu, a spiritual biography of South Africa's confessor. Also today, I was working with I had a book discussion and we started reading this novel. Today is August, so we started reading in July. It started in June. I believe we actually started in July. Yeah, it was after the month of May. But I finished this amazing novel, Moon Witch Spider King. Wow, what a novel. 600, I think that's close to how, but let me tell you, when you are following the story and you care about the main character, the length doesn't matter. Okay, when you're following the story and you care about the character, the length doesn't matter. So the main character in this novel is Sogolon, and Sogolon is a real woman in the mythology, the history of the Empire of Mali. And we have already gotten from her is that she is the mother of Sunjata, the biological mother. But Marlon takes great liberties in completely challenging the original oral history to really say what was orally passed down isn't her story. This novel is her story. And she starts low class, very poor, what we would call peasant. She becomes the servant of this Mistress Kumwono. She goes from a despised household where she was really despised by her mother. Her mother dies in childbirth, and she's accused of young Sogolon, not even before she turns one. She's accused of killing her mother. The three brothers who are older than her treat her very badly and just put on her this burden of being a mother killer. And so she's a despised woman. She's a despised girl, working for Mistress Kumwono, um, fielding, resisting advances from the mistress's husband, defending the woman that the mistress's husband is taking advantage of. She has a steep hill to climb, but the way Marlon James writes her, you can't help but root for her. She is human. She has flaws. She has insecurities. But Marlon James colors her to where, despite this difficulty, she's going to get through this. All these difficulties she's going through, she's going to get through. And it makes you want to keep turning the page until you finish it. And I was able to finish it after 2 months, just sitting myself down. And I'm trying to see, what is he doing? What is James doing with Sogolon? She meets a member of a military family who's in the military, and she begins a family with him. And you start to see growth in terms of her development as a person. And then suddenly she gets into an ugly argument with Keme and leaves Keme. When I'm reading this novel, I'm wondering, who and where is Sunjata? Who and where is the son who would later become this military champion for the Empire of Mali, become a model generational military champion, military leader, ruling the entire empire and its neighboring empires. I'm like waiting, and all I see and read is hardship. But that is exactly how the oral history of Sunjata is told. Sunjata goes through many difficulties before he's able to. I'm looking for my original copy. Not around here. But yeah, check out D.T. Niane, Niane is the name of the Frenchman who translates um, um, from the original language in Mali to French. And what an amazing, colorful story. He's taking a lot of liberties with this novel. He is, as the original epic does, turning characters into shapeshifters. Um, Buffalo become people, people become cats. James does the same thing in the novel. He plays with time, he plays with doors, doors that go through and send you to another. That's exactly what also happened in the original epic. You could go through doors and be transported to another time and place. So you could really see the fantasy elements in this novel, and it can make for a great film. But no, more important is understanding, grasping the perspective of Sogolon. This is the second book of a three-book trilogy. Um, the first one was dealing with the mercenary hired to kidnap Sunjata, and that is Tracker. All right, Tracker works for a slaver. He loves his job but hates his job. And similar to a lot of us who work, in the West, where we make a lot of money, but then the conscience and the cost of it pays, and Tracker is that character. This second book, Moon Witch Spider King, is about his mother, Sunjata's mother, Sogolon. And I'm still like searching in the whole novel for the connection between Sogolon and the son. I'm asking myself, is this character her son? In fact, where is her son? Where is her son? And then he emerges at the end of the novel as the boy. And you're wondering, okay, is this boy recognized, in fact, consciously by Sogolon as her biological son? Is he, in fact, her biological son? Did she never? So, if he's not her biological son, how did the oral story come to pass? And then you get small tidbits in this novel about the difference between what really happened, which is what the novel is trying to say, and the respectable narrative where the men are in charge of the oral history that's been documented. It's not long, it's very thin, no more than 50 pages, but you get a very colorful view of the power of Sunjata and the power of his story despite overcoming very serious challenges. Um, I just want to look at two parts of the novel. Let me see this part here. Okay, this is when she is in Kongor. She's in the library, and this is, during the time of um, she's talking to a bookkeeper. And let me see. I'm going to. Yeah, she's looking at all the books that this bookkeeper has, Sogolones, and she says, "This is a tomb. By the time we read what is in your walls, it no longer have no use." And the bookkeeper tells her, "You telling me that my hall don't serve no use? If it wasn't for these dead words, some people would never know who they be." And he's talking about her identity. We know about her because of what's been written down, because of dead words. The bookkeeper tells Sogolon, "You out here thinking you doing what? Fixing a wrong? You think your wrong is the first? If all of your kind did read, then maybe the last wrong would stay last. And you wouldn't be here insulting books that do nothing but hold truth you can't keep. Get out." Whoa. Like my friend Andreen said, Marlon James, no, if it's free as somebody off, without freeing an argument with Marlon James, because in no funny character, From the time they will trace them friend off and trace people off. You don't want Marlon James to trace you off because them know. And know if it costs you. This bookkeeper costs so long. Get out because she can't appreciate the importance of books. Okay. Because he says to her, if your kind did read, then the last wrong would stay the last wrong. And this is so important about knowing your history. The bookkeeper is letting her know if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. So that's a powerful piece. Last section that I wanted to look at that I thought was awesome was when Sogolon, the main character in this novel, reunites with the characters of the first novel, Leopard and Tracker. What the trader is talking to, this is the time when they meet for the first time, but not with the same goal. Sogolon was going with Queen Lissisolo to the Queen of Kongor to try and unite in order to use the board for their unique purposes. Sogolon in Kongor meets Leopard and Tracker, who are working together to try and kidnap the boy for slavery in the north. The slave trader says to Leopard, Tracker, and Sogolon, Kongor is but the beginning, but it could be the end too, say the slave trader. You can leave for the house at first light. There will be horses for those who ride, but the best way is by the White Lake, then around the Darklands, and cross over Ubankta, and cross lower Ubankta. And when you come to Kongor, Leopard says, you enslaved lost boys, not save them. What is he to you? Talking about Sunjata, say the leopard, taking the words out of my mouth. I wish he did ask Kongor about Kongor being the end too. And Saka, know that I am glaring at her, which means she don't look my way. The tracker is looking at me though. The boy, son of the friend who is dead, that is all. I will see rescue for him, the slavers say. The boy is most likely dead, say the tracker. And so that boy is Sunjata, you know, that everybody's after because why? Because of what's been prophesied by griots before he was born about who he will be. So I write here that this is the suspense Marlon James can create. Can these kings defy destiny, defy divine destiny, and kidnap the boy before the boy grows up to be king? And so Sogolon, Tracker, Leopard are all in the suspenseful chase to stop that from happening. Then I will see justice, say the slaver, and I would seek better answers, slave trader. Why was the child buying by an aunt and not the mother? I'm going to tell you, his mother and father died from river sickness. The elders said the father fished in the wrong river and took fishermen. Now the trader is saying all this, but on the next page, the leopard totally debunks, and the tracker totally debunks that to the chagrin of Sogolon. So James really wants the reader to question what these characters say and understand that each character has their own agenda. Make sure you check out Moonwitch Spider King. It's an awesome novel that's reinterpreting the myth for a Western 21st century audience with an amazing relevance to this time period. All right. Make sure you check out the awesome book by Michael Battle about um, his mentor, Desmond Tutu, a spiritual biography of South Africa's confessor. Again, if you've been blessed by these YouTube, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. And please give a generous Cash App donation. God bless you.